One, two, 1, 2, 3.
Okay. So just give me a few in the shop. But I'm listening to, I'm watching for you, okay? All right, so, yeah.
One, two, 1.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Of course, it is your host, Jeffery L. Boney, here for another edition of Trending Tuesdays. So excited to have you join us on today. And of course, it's early voting time. I want to encourage each and every one of you to get to the polls. Don't vote multiple times because you'll go to jail. At least that's what they're trying to do. So make sure you at least vote one time and take about 3 to 5 people with you. Take your nieces, your nephews, your cousins, mama them, daddy them. Everybody needs to go to the polls. Everybody. If Jimmy Carter can go vote, all of us can make sure we get
100?
100 years old and get to the polls to go vote.
Yeah.
Of course, we're right in the midst of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And of course, you see me wearing my pink on today. Now, real men, thank you so much. Real men wear pink. I want you to check out the socks. Can you get the socks?
Does he have pink socks on?
I got my breast cancer socks.
He's got his breast cancer
Okay.
socks on. There you go.
Real men wear pink socks.
You got it.
Of course. I mean, I gotta go all the way.
Yes,
I gotta
we appreciate that.
I gotta go all the way in support
it.
of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Now, I also want you to know, although this is a disease that primarily impacts women, men suffer from a very small number, but still men do also suffer from breast cancer in some degree. So, but we're going to talk about this very, very vicious, unforgiving disease, and I believe man-made. Personally, is just the way that this has just skyrocketed. And the fact that we have to have so many cancer treatment centers and cancer centers right here, even in the medical center in Houston, where we're located. Of course, this is a KDITC event that we do every first and third Tuesdays of the month. And I want to give a shout out to the K Davis Showroom Plus.
Yes,
let's give it up for Danette Davis.
It's fabulous, fabulous. It is.
And of course, studio audience, make some noise.
Yeah.
All right, we're live here in this wonderful facility that anyone and everyone can rent out for your events. Thank you so much. And now let's get into the conversation. I just wanted to share a few things with each of us before we kind of get started. According to Susan G. Komen, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. That's 1 person every 2 minutes in the United States. Also, they state that the 2 most common risk factors of breast cancer are being born female and getting older. And lastly, they say that it's estimated that nearly 44,000 people in the United States will die from breast cancer. So from mammograms to biopsies to treatment, the Rose
Yes.
excels in advanced digital imaging, mobile mammography, patient navigation, and medical excellence. Since its launch in 1986, the Rose has served nearly 800,000 patients and is now the leading nonprofit breast health care organization in Southeast Texas. Joining us today to talk about the Rose as well as breast cancer during Breast Cancer Awareness Month is Ms. Chris Noble. She is the Director of Corporate and Community Relations for the Rose. Let's give her a round of applause, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And then, of course, we have none other than Caleen Allen. She is here representing as Vice President of Sisters Network, which is committed to increasing local and national attention for the devastating impact that breast cancer has in the African American community, not only here in Texas, but across the United States. Let's give it up for Caleen Allen, Sisters Network.
Yay.
All right, let's jump right into it. Chris, you got some pink hair on.
I do. I get pink hair every October.
All right, well, tell us why this is such an important month of emphasis.
Well, too many women die needlessly of breast cancer. That's why it is so important to talk about it. I've been at the Rose for 11 plus years, having my mammogram done at the Rose for over 25 years, and I've heard that statistic 1 in 8, but I can't believe it's still that. I really can't. I don't know how it could be staying that way, because there are just so many women being diagnosed. And I too don't understand. I was thinking as I drove here, I said, they're never going to get a cure for cancer if we don't figure out what we're doing to ourselves to get the cancer. That's kind of, and that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. But what makes the Rose special is back in 1986, Dorothy Gibbons and Dr. Dixie Malillo were really tired of seeing uninsured women with late-stage breast cancer come in with no way to treat them, no way to do anything for them. And so finally, after they'd had too much, they started the Rose. And the Rose began with a very unique way of helping women. That insured woman coming to the Rose for her mammogram helped the uninsured woman get a mammogram at the Rose. Right now, it's 3 insured women. If we were a for-profit organization, we would use the profit. We don't keep the profit because we're a nonprofit. The nonprofit, and we take that profit and we use that to give a mammogram to an uninsured woman. And then if that woman is diagnosed, we get her treatment. And this means treatment from, we match her with a patient navigator. That navigator helps her understand what her diagnosis is, tells her family, her kids, fills out all the paperwork she's going to need for treatment. They know everywhere that she could get treatment. There's treatments for people who live in Harris County, Brazoria County, Galveston, so they know all of that, because that woman's not going to know where that is. So they know all of that. They know everything she needs. They follow her through her treatment. Sometimes they even take her to treatment. They help her with her kids. Sometimes they take the kids to ball practice or whatever this mother needs, because she's not there. They help her with food. These women navigate these patients through everything they need, and then we introduce them to organizations like Sisters Network, Survive Her, Angels Surviving Cancer, and they help those women as well. So that's the whole purpose of the Rose. And since that, wherever you got that 800,000, it's now 1 million.
Wow.
It's over 1 million that we've had come through our doors. And on any given year, we provide about 40,000 mammograms, and 8 to 10 of those mammograms are to uninsured women. And We diagnose a little over 400 women every year, and 2/3 of them are usually the uninsured women. So those women are getting navigated through all their treatment, through construction and then on. So it's,
Right.
that's
wow,
why, that's what's so special about it, really, so
okay,
special.
Wow. Well, I got it off y'all's website, so
Well, we
whoever
need to-
your
we-
graphic designer is,
we need to
go
update
and get to
that.
work. Yeah, definitely.
We need to
so,
update
so
that.
Caleen, you heard many of the things that, the wonderful things that the Rose is doing, and I know you all do wonderful things for the African American community through Sisters Network. I participated in the walk many years,
Yes.
and of course have been a supporter. Tell us about Sisters Network and also why this is such a important month to emphasize.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for letting us be here to amplify the breast cancer message to the community. But Sisters Network is the only national Black breast cancer organization in the country. We have chapters around the country. They're survivor run, and so that's what makes us different from any other organization that is specifically speaking to the Black community. We were founded, this is our 30th anniversary year, so we're very proud of that.
That's great.
The organization was founded by Caleen Jackson, who is now a 4-time 31-year survivor. And she started the organization because she felt like at that time, believe it or not, a lot of the materials were not culturally sensitive.
Right.
Even if you needed a prosthesis at that time and you were a Black woman, it was white.
It was white.
That's how culturally off we were at that time. Of course, there's been some advances over the 30 years that the organization has been in existence, but the statistics for Black women are still staggering, devastating, and unacceptable, quite frankly.
yes.
Black women are 40% more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer. If you're under 35, you're 2 times more likely to be diagnosed and 3 times more likely to die of breast cancer. So what we believe is that we have a breast cancer crisis in the Black community. And Sisters Network has been working along, those lines, trying to educate, empower, support, and make sure that our sisters are making themselves a top priority. A lot of times we're so busy taking care of the family, putting everything else before ourselves. And so our message is, like Chris was just saying, a mammogram can save your life. There are a lot of ladies who are needlessly dying from breast cancer. Whether you're uninsured or insured, you need to get your screening, and you need to get a 3D mammogram. 3D is the latest, greatest, so you should be doing that. We have a breast cancer assistance program called the Caleen Jackson Breast Cancer Assistance Program. It's been around since 2006, where we provide financial assistance to survivors who are in active treatment, so we pay for utilities, rent, mortgage. And then we also, on the early detection component of that, we pay for mammograms for uninsured or underinsured women who need it, and that's for any woman that needs it. I mean, we are unapologetically a Black-led, Black-focused organization, but when it comes to that particular program, if you are a woman in need and you call us and you say, I need financial assistance to pay this bill or that bill, then we are there to help you. If you say, I need a mammogram, then we will help you, or we will, refer you out to other organizations that have the resources to help them as well. So it's a concerted effort, but you talk about why do we need to talk about it in October? Breast cancer is 365 days, excuse me, a year. It's daily. And so we can't stop talking about breast cancer in the Black community, in all communities. Our women deserve the best care that is available to them. And it's an urgency. The urgency is now.
Yeah.
I usually save this type of conversation that I'm going into to the end, but I think this is important to talk about real quick now. How are you all funded, and how can people support your organizations?
Yeah.
Because both are very, very important and specific organizations and are needed, sadly, in our society. I mean, I hate that you all exist. However, you do, because there is a need.
Sure.
And so with that, how do people support y'all's organization? Do y'all get grants or sponsors?
We do get grants, and foundations provide us with funds, and several have helped us get our motor coaches, and we do that. But the biggest way we get our money is that insured woman coming to us, that insured woman coming to us, that insured woman coming to us. Even if it's not a lot of money, she's helping that other woman, and now she's telling somebody else, I'm going to the Rose, and I'm going to the Rose. And in Houston, there are 16, I believe it is, 16 breast centers of excellence, which is the highest level of degree that you can get. And there are 16, like I said, and one is the Rose.
Congratulations.
One is MD Anderson, one is Methodist, and obviously I don't know those other people. But the Rose's, the Rose's equipment and our people are top notch, the same kind of folks you would find at either one of those locations, with two differences. You will not have to pay to park, and you'll probably get in and out in an hour. But as far as the technician, the equipment, it's all state-of-the-art. We have two brick-and-mortar locations and 5 motor coaches. We go to 65 counties, not just Harris, but a number of counties. And, you know, if you're a woman living in Centerville, Texas, there's no place for you to get a mammogram. So we have a motor coach that lives in Lufkin, and it does East Texas. So
That's good to know.
we do, and then there's always a donation button on our website, therose.org. There's always a donation button. Most Octobers, people find very interesting ways to raise money for us. And it's usually about $500,000 in October. They will jump out of perfectly good airplanes. They will hold a poker tournament. They will sell lemonade. They will do lots of different things. But it's really amazing that many groups pull their money together and give money to the Rose, like I said. But yes, we are funded that way. I did want to let you know, because Caleen probably knows this, but I spearhead our initiative in the Black community. When I started at the Rose 11 years ago, we had Black patients, but not very many. And I wasn't hired really to do a job. It was like, Chris, come to work and we'll figure it out. And after about a month, I figured it out. I wanted to start an initiative for Black women at the Rose. And I knew from my business experience that you do business with people you know and you like. And so I was at a Sisters Network luncheon, October 13, 2013. My boss was getting an award, and across the table from me was this beautiful woman named Kim Roxy. And everybody knew Kim, and Kim knew everybody. And I said, that's the star I'm hitching my wagon to. And so all the roads go back to Kim. I mean, all the roads. Anybody I know today, you could just go back and it came from Kim. Kim's mom had been diagnosed by us at a mobile day at her dad's church. And when I met her in 2013, her mom was going through treatment for the second bout, and she did die in 2014. And it was pretty devastating to her family, especially to Kim. And so after a few months, I said, you know, Kim, I know I can never take her place, but when you need a mom, I'll be there. So I'm mom. And she gave me, a year or two later, she gave me a handsome, strong son-in-law. And I have an 8-year-old, almost 9-year-old granddaughter. So the health of Black women is real important to me, because I got a daughter and a granddaughter that I don't want to be touched by that terrible disease. So I spend a lot of my time in church. I was in church, 2 or 3 churches this week, in church, and
Preaching?
preach. Oh, you bet. Oh, you bet. Well, my late husband loved to tell jokes, but he wouldn't always tell them the same way. I said, why? That wasn't the way you told it the last time. And he would tell me, well, I get bored with it. If I say it the same thing, I get bored with it. Well, I got bored with what I was doing out in the community. And I said, next year, I'm going to write a rap.
Uh-oh.
So I've been rapping for the Rose all over the city.
All right, well, we're going to come
We'll
back
come
to
back to
that.
that. I know.
That's
why I wanted.
I got to hear the rap. I got to hear the rap.
But you know, if you're looking for friends and you're looking for people to pay attention to you and to believe you and trust you, they kind of got to like you.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
they don't have to be your best friend, but they kind of got to like you. And I'm happy to say, with Kim and lots of other folks' help, we have added almost 8,000 black women to our patient list. I mean, it's amazing just from that. And so we continue. Kim and I are always at events, and anytime she can be here with me, she is. So that's how I got to know all of you. It really is because of Kim. So like all roads will lead to Kim. So I spend my time speaking those statistics. Actually, in Houston, every other woman that dies of breast cancer is black. It's 40% nationwide, but in Houston, it's every other.
Wow.
And it's more because of late diagnosis. There is one that's particularly aggressive, even if it's diagnosed early. But it's really, it's late diagnosis and access to care.
Well, I want to come back and hear your rap, and also I want to find out some of the details as to why individuals are, getting cancer, what type of prevention is out there. But going back to the question with you, Caleen, about Sisters Network and support, and how do you guys get funded, and how can people assist you?
Well, like Chris said, the donate button on our website, sistersnetworkinc.org. You can always go there, and we graciously accept your donations. But grants, foundations, like she said, a lot of these fundraisers that people do, particularly during October. We're going to some little league is pulling together some money.
Yeah.
They donated, I think, about $2,000 last
Excellent.
year, and they said they've exceeded that this year.
you go.
So, people get creative, and we're always appreciative. Every donation helps. Nothing is too small, because we need the help so that we can help the women. And, we have educational programming. Again, we have the financial assistance. We, of course, have the various chapters that provide the survivorship support and resources in the local communities around the country. And so, the funds are always needed, and we never turn them away. And like I said, nothing is too small because everything helps.
I hate, and you guys do a big walk.
Yeah,
We
they
do, and that's one of our big fundraisers for us. It's in April, and the reason people sometimes say, well, why do you do your walk in April? When Mrs. Jackson decided to do the national walk, and it's the only national black breast cancer walk, let me start with that, it's called Stop the Silence. And the reason she called it Stop the Silence is because in the black community, a lot of times we don't talk about, of course, breast cancer, but any health issue that is deadly for us. We just need to talk more about our family history, and so Stop the Silence was the name of the walk. But we hosted in April because that's African American Minority Health Awareness Month. And so we try to get away from the October fray of there's so many walks and different activities. And so we host it. It's a lot of fun. It's a different kind of walk. We're going to be doing a lot of line dancing, and we usually get a little over 4,000 individuals there. That's post-COVID. Pre-COVID, we were about 6,000. So our numbers are creeping back up, but a portion of those funds raised does funnel into our breast cancer assistance program so that we are always able to have that program funded regardless of whether external funding comes in for it. She always wanted that program to be available to help the women. And since its inception, we've given close to $2 million in financial assistance and paying for mammograms. And we partner with various facilities to pay for the mammograms for the ladies around the country. And again, we help women around the country with financial assistance. And we open it usually at least 2, sometimes 3 times a year, depending on the funds that we have. And I'm proud to say, just for everybody who lives in Houston, we are partnering with MD Anderson for a major project that they have going on where they're funding a lot of organizations, including, I believe, the Roses as well, where we'll be providing additional financial assistance that is restricted only for women or even a man who has breast cancer in the greater Harris County, the greater Houston area. We'll be having funds strictly for this community, and we'll be expanding our program to include a grocery stipend. So we'll be getting gift cards from, I think it's HEB and from Walmart so they can go grocery shopping at, just depending on where people live. But the financial assistance will be there for the ladies, and we're very excited about that. So people can be on the lookout for that information coming, but those funds will be strictly for Harris County, Houston area. I keep saying Harris County,
but
the greater Houston area.
I hear the statistics that were thrown out, and of course, I would love to see African Americans lead the way in so many categories, except the negative ones. Seems like we're always at
we always get
the
the worst.
bottom of the best of things, and we're at the top, especially with health disparities.
Yeah. Oh, God, yes.
And cancer. Hearing you say every other woman, and 40% across the nation of African American women being impacted by this, there has to be a reason. Why are African American women so much more impacted with health disparity issues, namely breast cancer?
I don't have an answer for that, but what I will say is I think, diet always plays a role, stress, again, family history. There's a multitude, they don't have a specific reason at this point, but we do get one of the more aggressive cancers a lot of times, which is triple negative breast cancer.
So you mean to tell me all this money that's raised and made because of cancer, and they don't have a why?
What, are we talking why black women?
Yeah,
Okay.
why black women?
Why black women? Some of it is access to care. Can she go somewhere and go to a doctor? Can she even just go to a doctor, especially if she's uninsured? When I grew up, my dad worked for Chrysler. He wasn't a big guy, but he worked for Chrysler, and we had health insurance. So I went every year, my brother and I went every year, we did all our health stuff. That wasn't the black experience. So you kind of do what you experience. And so I think that's part of it, is just the history of going when you were really sick. It wasn't something where you did preventative. But now with technology, we can diagnose so many different cancers early, and so if you're not going, you're out of the loop. And some of it is that, and that's what both our organizations do, is try to educate women. It's not every other woman in Houston that dies of breast cancer. It's not that she was diagnosed with breast cancer, it's she died. Every other. What does that do to families? What's that do to communities? It's devastating. And so we have to get just like we have to get them to vote, we got to get women in to get that mammogram. That's the job I do every day, is trying to convince women that they need to come do this. Many are afraid. Many have insurance but don't want to do it. Please, if you're going somewhere for a mammogram and they're hurting you, stop going there. Come to the Rose. We don't do that. I have met women at the Rose who were scared. I was there sitting in the lobby waiting for them when they walked in the door. I mean, whatever they needed, I did. And it's just going to take more of that. And I need to have October's more than just once a year, so that I can be at those churches and at those places and at those things, so we can continue to get that word out. Because it's just lack of knowledge, it's lack of access to care. When I first started at the Rose, if you were an uninsured woman, and still if you're an uninsured woman, you probably do not have you probably don't have a doctor. Well, to get a mammogram, you gotta have a doctor's orders. So that was like one of those roadblocks that those women could not get past. And so when they would call us, we'd ask them what part of town they lived in, and we'd give them the names and addresses of clinics in their area. But that meant another day taken off work. I got to figure out what to do with the kids. So it just didn't happen. And we figured that we were losing 1,500 to 2,000 women every year who never called us back. So 3 years ago, we hired a nurse practitioner. And that's not a problem anymore. If you're uninsured and you don't have a doctor, she will give you the physical exam, she'll give you the orders to get your mammogram, and the Rose will give you your mammogram. And if you're diagnosed, we'll help you get treatment.
That's great.
And yeah, so it's stuff like that. We got to figure out how to remove the roadblocks, kind of. I think at one point before I got to the Rose, someone was offering rides to people But then that kind of fell through, because some of it is that.
Yeah.
Some of it is that. Fortunately, both of our locations are on a bus route, so you could get there, but it's still kind of a barrier. So that's a lot of it.
I was reading up, and I'm sure you all probably seeing that you're in this work. Ananda Lewis, who was with MTV for the longest,
That's
back in
heartbreaking.
2020, she found out, she was diagnosed with stage 3
And she
breast
opted to do
cancer, and she opted to not have the tumor removed because she feared radiation exposure.
Well, but she also, what she also said is that she was not getting mammograms
Yeah,
prior to
right.
that because of her fear for radiation. Then when she was diagnosed in 2020, she opted to not remove the tumor. They wanted to do a double mastectomy. She opted not to do that. She said that she would take a more holistic route. And now it is advanced to stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And it's interesting with her is that she, as well as Sarah Seidner, who is with CNN, were both diagnosed with the same stage. Both took different paths. We actually interviewed Sarah Seidner back in February, right after she made her public announcement in January. We were fortunate enough to do a virtual interview with her, webinar with her, and it was so. It took your breath away, because here is someone who is educated. I mean, she covered George Floyd. She's, very, I mean, she's like top of the notch. Insured. Had no idea about the statistics with Black women and breast cancer. She was completely caught off guard. And so it goes to show you that we have women who, whether you're educated or you're not as informed, they just don't think it's going to happen to them, is really the situation. I have friends who have not had a mammogram, and after I've talked to them, of course, they're going to get one, but some of them have implants. And they said, well, do I still need to get a mammogram? And I'm like, girl, put your Nikes on and run. Yes. You've not been getting a mammogram? What are you talking about? Or some of them who have family history and they have opted to do, what is it, prophylactic, and remove their breasts as a proactive method to
Number of women
hopefully not get breast cancer. Some of them are not getting mammograms. They still need to get it because it can be in, I mean, you can speak to that, where the tumor can still be, even if you have done that preventative method. So, and they're called previvors now. That's a new term for those who've not been diagnosed but have been, taking a proactive method of trying to avert being diagnosed. But some of them are not even getting mammograms.
So what is the message? I mean, here you have Ananda Lewis, who, if everyone remembers her from MTV.
Yeah. Beautiful girl.
I'm sorry?
Beautiful young
Yeah,
woman.
beautiful, 51.
51.
51 years old this year. And like you say, since 2020, now we're in 2024, and she's had her cancer spread and advance to stage 4 when, potentially she could have had this dealt with. No guarantees, of course, with this vicious disease, but I think the statistics show that the chances are greater if you address it up front. And, I think about our beloved Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who recently passed away to cancer, but she's a breast cancer survivor, and it wasn't breast cancer that took her out of here. And so this is a huge issue, and I want to get further into it, and we can delve further into what was just discussed, but we're going to have to take a break, and we're going to come back. You're with us at Trending Tuesdays, y'all. We're going to go and toss it to Miss Danette Davis. Come back, y'all. We got none other than Chris Nobel, and we got Caleen Allen, and we'll be back to talk about more breast cancer conversation.
Doesn't it just blow your mind?
Oh, wow.
Doesn't it just blows your mind?
Wow. I'm really,
Why I will never stop.
I started out listening, and we talk about these kind of things every day. But when I listen to those statistics, it's scary. But now the thing about it, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but I lost a sister who had breast cancer. And you're right, it wasn't about access to insurance. Part of it was, though, the kind of insurance she had, which was the HMO instead of the PPO. And so they wanted her to go to St. Luke's instead of MD Anderson. And by the time she realized she needed to be at MD Anderson, she was advanced, very, very advanced. And I know, because I had to help her pay for drugs that her insurance would not pay for when you have advanced cancer, right? Now, she also, a lot of times, it's not embarrassment, but there's a stigma attached to some things as well. Because when she had the first operation, she told us she had a spider bite. My brother's here, you remember that? She had a spider bite, and she had had a first operation. You get me? This thing spread. The other thing, and I think it brings us home for me and what you're saying, I have a daughter-in-law who's nurse practitioner in oncology. That's what she does every day. So I know about, I sent Jeff a barrage of information. She couldn't make it tonight, but she had a lot of studies and things that we talked about. And I said, interestingly enough, now I'm of the generation where, and I worked at hospitals and things like that, so and I've had my mammogram this year, it's negative. This year, right? So, but we have one every year, and the other women, the things that, women's well-womans and things like that. But I went this year, and my doctor, who's been my doctor more than 15 years, literally said, well, we don't have to do a PAPS this year. Excuse me? Well, the new laws in place changed the rules, so you good. 3 years for this and 2, and I'm like, no, but this is my health. And I want it every year like I was told, since when I was a younger woman in my 20s, right? Now, the interesting thing was, you guys know when affordable health care came out, the one thing you get at no charge is your physical, right? But now if the rules change and you don't have to get a physical every year, insurance companies don't have to pay for it every year. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I asked my daughter-in-law, I said, am I in the clouds? Is this a thing? She told me, unfortunately, you're correct. The rules are not changed because it's new information. It costs them less. That's the thing. My other question to her was, I'm told, I think that older women, I said, they were saying they were having less cancer and younger women were having more breast cancer. She says, no, I don't know if I've heard the part about older women having less. She said, but the rise for young women, the breast cancer for young women is on the rise. I'm dealing with it. I treat it every day. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if y'all change the rules and you don't have to go, but every 3 years you're told you don't get breast cancer after you're 25 years old, or something, whatever the rules and things they tell people these days, then you would wonder why young women don't know or what have you, and with insurance, full insurance, and you're being lied to. So I think organizations like you guys, with the information and the facts, and that you care or whatever, are so important, and I'm so grateful that you're here tonight, and I really thought about it when, the turnout is even a little less tonight, and I said, we should have literally just got some women's organizations or something and just packed it on purpose, what have you, just because we know the value this brings. But we have it recorded, and we're going to make sure we share. Because the more I hear you, the scarier this sounds, Jeff. Right? So, and that's just my 2 cents, and it is scary, and this is real for people. Mine was negative, but it didn't have to be. Right? So with that, I've got a couple of things. We're in the break. I'm Danette Davis and Danette K. Davis. You're in the K. Davis Showroom Plus. We have a nonprofit, K. Davis and the Community Foundation, and we do things like this podcast and partnering with other groups to, we're body, mind, and spirit, right? And we say mind because, the help, the scholarships and things like that we do for kids, college, and working with high schools. And body is wellness and exercise and things like that, healthy eating, something that we try to really, really practice and share. And then spirit, that's our arts. And we feel like All of those things make you whole. When you say holistic, we're saying mind, body, and spirit in that fashion. And so anything that contributes to that, we're all in. And with that, I want to really quickly have our artist come up, and then she's going to share a little bit. She's got we're going to do her again. She had every series you can think of that has to do with women. She's all in. And I want you, please, take a look around and look at the art that she does. We introduced her last week. She's a Texas Southern University graduate, or what have you, and strong art student. So if you take just a few minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Raquel West, also known as Roxy. Roxy was here art. As she mentioned, my brand is about raising awareness to art as a tool for mental wellness, and you'll see that in a lot of the works that I do bring and offer. It's an illustration of lived or observed life experience. It doesn't necessarily have to be my own, but it's something that I know other people can and usually do resonate with, like we have the I'm a Fighter, as we're on the subject of breast cancer awareness this evening, along with the Rose Through Concrete works, which are about resilience and determination and bursting through life's challenges, although, they get hard sometimes. So, thank you.
One more thing. Please come up. Where's my other guest? I want to say, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know which is the best word, October has, a couple things going on, and one of them is domestic violence awareness. Let's not forget that. And this young lady is going to tell you a little bit about her organization and share a little bit about resources for the audience.
First, I want to say thank you, Ms. Davis, for recognizing. We hear a lot in October about breast cancer. Domestic violence affects women and men just as much. It's interesting, as Jeff was giving the statistics for breast cancer, domestic violence is very similar as well. In fact, 1 in 4 women are affected by domestic violence, and 1 in 9 men, are also affected. 1 in 3 women experience physical violence, because a lot of people think it's only physical. No, domestic violence can be emotional. It could be financial. It could be digitally now. We have people that are abused through social media and online stalking. And so we want to make awareness. So you see the pink for breast cancer. We wear our purple for domestic violence this month as well. 19% of domestic violence cases involve a weapon. Right? And when we begin to talk about these statistics, those are national. When we talk about these statistics for black women, right? Black women are 2.5 times more likely to be murdered than white women. And 92% of these murders are including a firearm. Okay, more than 40% of black women experience physical violence from an intimate partner, where only 31% of other nationalities do. And so today, we just want to, again, bring awareness. We want to let the women know that are watching that there are resources available. There is help. We want to break the silence. We want to stop the violence. We want you to know that you are not alone. There are numbers, shelters, facilities, because that's part of the problem. It's to isolate you, to make you think that you have to stay there and take it. You do not. There are so many organizations, and we're putting some on the screen right now so that you know that you can come up with a plan, and there are people here to help you, not only in October, but throughout the year, because this is something that affects women and men. As we said earlier, 365 days of the year. So again, I'm Lachelle Pierre, founder of Spreading Her Wings organization, and we help mothers and daughters to overcome all type of barriers, including domestic violence. So thank you again for the opportunity, and I'd just like to say, if you are a woman experiencing domestic violence, or if you know of someone, please don't be afraid to speak up. There are safe havens also that are available not only for you, but for your children. Again, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I think we're done here. So enjoy yourself, and we're back to the show. Take it away, Jeff.
All right, y'all, we are back. Of course, I am yours truly, Jeffery L. Boney, and you're watching Trending Tuesdays. Make some noise, studio audience. Very, very lively discussion. Thank you so much, Danette Davis. We are at the K. Davis Showroom Plus, and this Trending Tuesdays is always brought to you by KDITC, K. Davis in the community. I have my two guests that are going to continue the conversation. We have Miss Chris Noble with The Rose, and we have Caleen Allen with Sisters Network. Can you get them socks again, man? I just want to let y'all know I'm rocking my pink ribbon real.
I'm gonna get a picture of them and post them myself.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Yeah.
Looking good.
My real men wear pink socks.
There you go.
You know what I'm
There
saying? And I'm
you
wearing my
go.
pink. I'm rocking the pink, you know.
You're rocking it.
I represent
Yes, you are.
always. I want to encourage everybody to get to the polls. We're in the midst of early voting. Election day is November the 5th, but you can vote now. You can go
Yes.
to the polls and vote now. Don't let the lines deter you. And let me tell you what's on the ballot. We're talking about breast cancer awareness and breast cancer in general. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, is on the ballot, because if this election goes a particular way, Project 2025, one of the key things in there is getting rid of Medicare, Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act. Let me tell you what the Affordable Care Act provides. It provides and requires most health insurance plans to cover breast cancer screening and preventative services at no cost to patients. It also prohibits health plans from discriminating against women with pre-existing conditions such as breast cancer. So if you want to do away with something that is truly beneficial to American citizens, you know what to do at the polls. I'm just going to strongly encourage you to do the right thing for yourselves.
Yes.
And for your future and for the future of your loved ones. Also, I'm very blessed and fortunate to be on the ballot this November. However, I'm unopposed and I don't have an opponent, so I'm already elected, and I'll be serving the citizens of Missouri City again for another term starting this upcoming month. So I'm excited about that. Thank the citizens of Missouri City for believing in me and my leadership. Let's get back to the conversation. We were going to break, and I know it was talked about Ananda Lewis and
Yes.
some of the things, and how there's this stigma and there's some lack of access and all these things. Chris, what would you encourage members of our community to do in order to get out in front of this thing, whether you have cancer or not?
There's a list of 4 or 5 things that you can do to help yourself be healthy. That would be like the first thing I would tell you to do. And you can go online and look, but it's going to be keep an ideal weight, no smoking, alcohol content.
No smoking of any kind?
Of any kind. No vaping, no nothing.
No.
No, I'm sorry. I know it's fun, but wait till you're about 100 and you can start. I mean, it's a killer. And then the ideal weight, alcohol, smoking, exercise. Keep moving your body. These things will keep you healthier so that if you get something, you're healthier fighting the something. That's part of the problem too, is a lot of these women aren't healthy enough to fight this, that they've got this breast cancer.
And managing your stress.
And managing your stress, yes, thank you. And
Stress
that's a
is
big one.
big
That is
one.
a big one. And that the exercise and putting the darn shoes on and walking out the front door is the best way to do it, really. You don't need any equipment, just walk out the door and walk as far as you want to walk for 15 minutes and walk back. 30 minutes every 2 or 3 days is going to keep things going, keep you healthy. Because a lot of women don't do that, and so when they're diagnosed with anything, they're already losing the battle. I did want to share a picture.
Yo, go ahead.
Because this is why I work at the Rose. This is my year of why I work at the Rose. If you can see this girl, yes, you can see her. This is Courtney. Courtney graces our current annual report. Courtney came to us 37 years old, 27 weeks pregnant, still nursing her first child, breast cancer, no insurance. 37 years old. Look at this beautiful woman. I'm happy to report she's got hair, she's got a new baby, and she's breast cancer free.
Yes.
But this is the new face of breast cancer. At the Rose, we're diagnosing every month 2 or 3 women in their 20s and 30s. And the problem, yes, it's frightening. And the problem is that age group is not on track to have a screening mammogram every year, so they're being diagnosed late.
Right.
So, I mean, we got to figure out how we're going to change that. But, I mean, look at this woman.
Right. So one thing that we're doing with Sisters Network, and that's a good
Yeah.
point, we just lost a member who's 26 to breast cancer, one that's 31, one that is 33. And so we have reinstituted our Young Sisters Initiative, YSI, where we'll be doing a lot of programming under that moniker that is geared towards women under 40, but really 25 to 35. One of which is that I'm leaving actually on Friday. We've been doing these brunches. I decided, hey, these girls like to brunch, So, and I have a 28-year-old and a 30-year-old. And I said, they like to brunch. So I'm going to partner with a brunch influencer in different cities.
That's such a thing now?
There's such a thing.
Okay, I'm a brunch influencer.
Yeah,
That's new to me.
And so we're doing a series, it's called Take Care of You, Sis. And we're doing Brunch and Learn Breast Health Series. And we're doing it in 5, we started in Houston, we kicked it off in Houston. And we're doing 5 cities. So Houston, we just did Houston, we did New York, in Brooklyn. I'm heading to DC. We're doing it in DC this weekend on Saturday. Atlanta will be in November, and then LA will be in December. And there's already been requests for us to do more cities next year. It has been so well received. These women are 20. It's only for women 25 to 35. We've pushed it up to 40, but really my target was 25 to 35. And the whole concept was to normalize the conversation of breast health. Not to spook them, but to get them to understand their risk factors, know their family history, understand about genetic testing. And so we have a local medical expert in each city that we, visit, that we source, and they come and they talk with the young women. I said, no PowerPoint. I'm not trying to make this too heavy. They're eating, they're having a good time. But I want them to come away with the knowledge, and I want you to have a conversation with them. And so it's an informal dialogue so that they're not spooked, but they're at least putting it on their radar. And most of them have walked in no knowledge that the fact that under 35, they're 2 times more likely to be diagnosed and 3 times more likely to die from breast cancer as a Black woman. And what Chris just talked about this young lady is that a lot of them are in the childbearing age. So when they're getting a tumor, and unfortunately we are getting some of the more aggressive tumors, i.e. triple negative, the tumor feeds on the hormones.
Yes.
And if you're pregnant, it's like a perfect storm. And you're told you don't go get your first mammogram until you're 40, but you're pregnant, and then the tumor is in, you don't know because you haven't gone. You don't know what you're feeling for because no one's really told you. And so by the time they go for that first mammogram, it's stage 2 and 3. So as an organization, we are advocating for our women, particularly Black women, that you need it at 35. You need to have a baseline at 25. If you can get it, especially if you have a family history, and we're so this Brunch and Learn thing has
That's
just taken off.
That's great.
And they're talking to them about what to look for. some of them are just thinking, oh, I'm only going to be looking for a lump. No, breast cancer can come in different forms. It can be your nipple is inverted. It can be,
A rash.
A rash.
A rash.
There are different things I had no knowledge of. And so I'm very proud of that program.
I like it.
The young, I'm proud of some of our funders who have made this possible for me to go around, to these different cities and host these brunches. And it's, totally complimentary because, there's no reason for them not to come.
Right.
And we partner with some beauty brands to give them some beauty swag. So when they leave, they've got some, good products. So it's a good thing. And it's been so successful and so impactful that they're walking away with knowledge about what they can do to empower themselves and protect themselves should they find something or be concerned, and they're being introduced to a local medical expert in their community should they have that problem.
This conversation, you mentioned earlier about some women having implants and whatnot. And there's this push and this cultural thing now with the BBLs and the breast implants and all of these things. And so it's a vanity thing for the most part. And I recall a conversation I had with a friend of mine who had a friend in California, and because of vanity, they had been diagnosed with a lump, and they were told that they needed to have their breast removed, and because she was proud of her breasts, she opted not to do it.
Wow.
And she's now deceased.
Yes.
After several years later, it spreading. And so how much of it,
that vanity, you hit a key word, and I know Chris can speak to this. You don't know how many calls we get from women, young women who've been diagnosed, or even older women who say, and we're just like, we cannot press upon you enough that this is your life you're talking about, but the hair
Is a
is
big
a
deal.
big
It's a big
deal. The, removing one or two breasts is huge. We understand that, but the hair,
The hair is a big deal.
I mean,
It is.
so how do
major.
you address that, the education and I guess moving people off of that vanity tip?
Well, first of all, you do not, there is something you can do to not lose your hair. It's called the cool cap, but it's not a piece of cake. Apparently it's a little bit painful, and you're wearing this while you're getting chemo. Because I've known women who have done it, and she said, they would say almost every time, I almost stopped, but they didn't. But it's your hair. It'll grow back.
It'll come back.
It'll grow back. It's going to be okay. It'll grow back. Introduce her to someone who's
Been down that
path, and she's got beautiful hair. The whole bald movement is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Bald
there was just a
women.
bald conference last weekend.
Yes,
Did you see that?
BaldyCon.
BaldyCon. I saw that.
Kim and I are supporters of
Yeah,
BaldyCon
that
because
was
my daughter has a
something.
bald head.
Yeah.
She doesn't need any hair on her head.
Yeah.
To be beautiful. So there is kind of
there's
a
a
move to
movement,
embrace
yeah.
it. And at BaldyCon, like, they had women who'd never taken the wig off, so nobody ever knew they were bald. They didn't go to work anywhere without it. But now they're feeling
embracing it.
They're embracing that. So maybe that will move that on.
Right.
Move that on. My dad had alopecia, and he had no hair, and a lot of people thought he was a cancer survivor but it was just at the alopecia. So, it's a vanity thing, but we may be getting past that one with the BaldyCon girls, because there seems to be a lot of bald girls.
There's still a lot of work to be done in that area, but it's coming. But there's a lot. The vanity is a big deal. Is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're about to come to a close, and I thank you so much for being
thank you for
our
having
guests on today. I wanted to leave you with some opportunities to share some key messaging to our listeners and viewers as to things that you want to leave them with, as far as any best practices or any, I know you shared some things, like 5 tips, but maybe some other things, websites maybe they can go to, or just some key information to leave them with.
Well, there's quite a bit of information on both our websites. They found probably anything they ever wanted to know about breast cancer on those 2 sites. The other thing is I think it is to go to events where they're discussing health. Make health a priority. It doesn't just have to be breast health, just make your health a priority. Make it so that you're the best you can be. And if you got diabetes, be the best diabetic you can. I mean, and follow the regulations and take your insulin. And the same thing with breast cancer. At 40, you really ought to be doing a self-check at 20, because we're diagnosing women at 20. Doing those self-checks, learning how to do it. Don't be embarrassed. I mean, I'm not going to do it tonight, but I have a very funny way of doing it, but I use humor sometimes to kind of get, that's really the big, paying attention.
Well, you know you're rapping before we close.
I got my rap.
I haven't forgot about that. You know.
And there are several men, in the room, and even though men only represent like 1%, because you still have breast tissue, you can get breast cancer, and men don't tend to get diagnosed early because they don't know they can get it. So anything changes there, go to the doctor. Don't wait a day, go to the doctor. Anything's different than today. And I tell that to the women too. Go home and look. Put your hands on your hips, look. Raise your hands, look. That's your normal. Tomorrow do the same thing. You know, pay attention, because it's...
Know your body.
Know your body. Know what's...
That's very important. You need to know your body,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to know that it's okay to advocate for
Yes,
yourself.
for yourself.
If you feel something is wrong with your body, with your breasts, with
Yes.
any other part of your body,
Mm-hmm.
health-wise, it is okay to advocate for yourself if that doctor is not giving you the referral that you need or the information that you require.
Mm-hmm.
The white coat syndrome is real, but it is not the end-all, be-all. You have a right to say, this is what I'm feeling, this doctor's not giving me the care that I need. I don't want to offend him. I know that kind of thing happens with people.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, I need to get a second opinion. That is your right.
Yes.
It is your body. It is your responsibility
Yes.
to yourself. If you love yourself, you will get a second opinion to make sure that you're getting the best health care that you deserve. And if you feel that, particularly in the breast space, if you feel that you're not getting what you need and you need, a sister to help you, call Sisters Network Incorporated. We will go with you to the doctor. We will have questions that you can ask your doctor. We have a little brochure called Key Questions to Ask Your Doctor.
Yes.
Because a lot of times women get in there and the gray minutia comes out of their brain
Yes.
at that time. They're scared, their family members scared. They just don't think. And so this little pocket holder of information, of questions, is very critical. But again,
That's okay.
advocating for yourself, loving your body, and knowing your body are key.
Yeah, I think everybody should, everybody in the audience and also everybody viewing need to make sure that you go get a wellness check, a complete, full wellness
Workup.
check, and also cancer. Make sure that you're testing for that. I just got my results back for colon cancer, and it was negative. Thank God for that. And then, of course, got the prostate
Good.
forthcoming, and so, I think that it's important. I got that good Obamacare, so, I'm definitely going to take advantage of it and make sure that I get the testing and the care that I need from the doctor. So I just want to encourage all of you to do the same. It's very, very important and critical. Now, as we close, I need to hear this rap. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Chris Noble, and then we'll close out.
All right, anybody out there that needs to get in touch with me, I'm cnoble@therose.org. Please reach out, whatever you need. I'm your big sister on the other end of the line. So when I do my rap, I say, I'm not trying to pressure anybody, but every time I do this rap, I get a standing ovation.
Okay. Well, we're going to see. We're going to see. You got to impress me. Come on, let's go. No pressure now.
Everybody knows I'm Chris from the Rose, from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. Everybody knows I'm Chris from the Rose. For 38 years and a million folks, the Rose saves lives. It ain't no joke. Everybody knows I'm Chris from the Rose. My boyfriend wrote this one. From county to county, steeple to steeple, because he's at the churches, I spread the news to all of my people. Everybody knows I'm Chris from the Rose. Whether insured or not, we're here to serve. And I'll be there if you're a little nervous. Everybody knows I'm Chris from the Rose. Some say it hurts, Well, maybe a bit, but it'll be over lickety-split. Everybody knows I'm Chris from the Rose. Ultrasounds and biopsies, we do those too. The Rose has your back, we really do. Everybody knows I'm Chris from the Rose. And should you need treatment, you're not on your own. With the Rose by your side, you're never alone. Everybody knows I'm Chris from the Rose. Thank you for listening to my little ditty. Just remember the Rose is the best in the city. And I'm Chris from the Rose, from the top of my head to the tips of my toes.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Good job. Give me some, give me some, give me some right here. All right, what y'all give her, y'all? What our studio audience? And how can people get in touch with you, Caleen, and Sisters Network?
Sure, you can always just go to sistersnetworking.org and Google us. All you have to do is put Sisters Network. We're the top. I don't have a rap, but I can tell you we'll always be there. We've been there 30 years and we ain't going nowhere.
That's exactly right.
All right. Well, do the little poem thing.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you all so much for tuning in to Trending Tuesdays. I'm your host, Jeffrey L. Boney. I want to thank my guests.
Thank you.
Chris from the Rose, Chris Noble, as well as Caleen Allen with Sisters Network, y'all. We out of here. Peace.
Thank you.